It was reported that several White House officials are refusing to answer messages from journalists if their email signatures include identifying pronouns, which is extremely frustrating for New York Times reporter Shahar They Them.
Yes. I remember comedy. I miss comedy. I think comedy should make a comeback. Fact, it kind of made a comeback today when the 6 women pretended to become astronauts. For how long were they up and down? Was it from launch to land? I'm going to have to, I don't want to get it wrong, so maybe 11 minutes. We'll take a look. Suborbital and it's all a terrible television show. Oprah was there because her gal pal was on the very, very, even unusually phallic missile that they were on. A little bit of space, then floated down in the, I'll just say the top of the missile, the capsule, I'll call it the space capsule. That was somewhat comedic. And then the moment they landed, they started doing TV interviews in their tight blue suits, kind of like Star Trek, a little bit Star Trek-y outfits there. The Democrat Party. You know, the Democrats, they love cheating. They love stealing. They love firebombing, like Governor Josh Shapiro's house. Have you seen this guy that firebombed? Democrat, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro is home, a Jewish governor who was celebrating Passover and having the Seder dinner with his family. And then a few hours later, here comes a Democrat by the name of Cody Balmer. Cody Balmer, who looks like he should be living in the desert in Libya with ISIS or something. He's got a long, scraggly beard. The Democrat media, they're hoping that they can somehow pin this on a MAGA supporter, a Trump supporter. I don't think that's going to work out for them this time around. They're really something, aren't they? They are something. So we got that going on. The arson, the terrorism, the anti-Semitism. And then it's kind of interesting because I don't know if we have any anti-Semitism on this Cody Balmer just yet. But I expect that we will find that the Democrats have made firebombing trendy. They've made Molotov cocktails popular again. And they've made anti-Semitism very, very popular. In fact, I was sharing with you the story about a 17-year-old teenager, as you might imagine, in Wisconsin, who first shot his mother to death, then shot his stepfather to death, and then stole the stepfather's car and was driving away from Wisconsin. He was pulled over in Kansas driving his stepfather's car, who he had murdered, and all this stuff. But it turns out that and the 17-year-old, he wanted to steal all of the money that his now deceased mother and stepfather said to see the Democrat, the lawyers are going to come in and say, well, be kind to him. He's an orphan. Be kind to him. He's an orphan. But he killed his parents. He's still an orphan, but his plot was to steal all of his late mother's money and late stepfather's money and use it to assassinate President Trump. And online, there was something he liked about a neo-Nazi group called the Order of Nine Angels. Probably not 9 angels involved in a neo-Nazi group, but never mind that. Investigators also found anti-Semitic writings in which he accused, the murderer, allegedly detailed his plans to kill President Trump as part of his broader plot to overthrow the government. Now, why would he want to do that? He'd want to assassinate Trump and overthrow the government, and he killed his own parents, and he wanted money to assassinate Trump. That reminds me, Michael, of Bernie Sanders and AOC, who were on the road together. Do you think they're dating? I know nobody wants to think about that because that is a little too. But Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not the brightest bulbs, they are on a tour together. She is the bartender. He steals everything from the till because he's a communist. But AOC, now why would this 17-year-old in Wisconsin, Nikita Kasep, why would he murder his mother, murder his stepfather to try to get the money to assassinate Donald Trump? Who could have demonized Donald Trump to the extent that a 17-year-old would murder his mother to get the money to assassinate Donald Trump? Maybe it's got something to do with the Democrat Party's rhetoric like we got from AOC on Saturday.
Donald Trump is not an aberration. He is the logical, inevitable conclusion of an American political system dominated by corporate and dark money. We must defeat the system that created him.
Defeat the system. Hey, we got to defeat the whole system that created him, Donald Trump. Which part of that? Is that the celebrity system, the economic system, the political system? I think it's all of the above because they're all really dumb, but they're in power. So that makes them extremely dangerous. And this is the old, he's Hitler. He's the end of democracy, the end of civilization. So you got this 19-year-old lunatic who murdered his mother and his stepfather, stole his car, then used a fake ID. That's what he's really in trouble for. And now he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And it's really because of the kind of rhetoric that the Democrat Party spreads, like Bernie Sanders, who's touring with his girlfriend, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
If we stand together, we can defeat Trumpism, we can defeat authoritarianism, we can defeat oligarchy, we can create a new nation.
Well, and they all cheer. Reminds me of Hillary Clinton saying that the election was stolen from her, and the Democrat Party all cheered. The crowd all cheered. They're very severely mentally ill.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
They love that. Yeah, steal the election. We love stealing elections. That's why we... isn't that amazing? Now, there is a news reporter, an award-winning news reporter, who we have observed on a number of occasions before because she is a left-wing radical extremist named Taylor Lorenz. Taylor Lorenz was with the Washington Post. Then Taylor Lorenz was so awful and so corrupt and so untrustworthy that she was hired by the New York Times because the Washington Post wasn't enough for her. And now, because she's a perfectly run-of-the-mill Democrat, and she is typical left-wing, she loves firebombing, she loves MS-13, and wants more of them here to murder women, mostly women, but not entirely, and chop their hands off, MS-13. They like to do that with machetes. And then you have your Democrats' favorite Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. And, of course, they love, if you are a radical anti-Semite who loves Hamas, like Mahmoud Khalil, then, and the U.S. government wants to deport you for being pro-terrorist propagandists on college campuses, the Democrats will fight hammer and sickle to keep you on college campuses, to keep spreading the hate and selling bumper stickers that say, even my dog hates Elon Musk. Even my dog hates Elon Musk. But let's get back to Taylor Lorenz, because Taylor Lorenz was, she is, I guess, a news reporter. And she's a New Yorker, of course. She's a leftist, a fake journalist, and she is beloved by the radical left, which firebombs almost everything. They loot, they shoot, they terrible. But here we go. She did it was a podcast, because everything's a podcast. Some guy I'd never heard of, never seen anywhere. And here's Taylor Lorenz, famous for being an awful, corrupt, fake news reporter at the Washington Post and the New York Times. Here's the New York Post headline: Taylor Lorenz defends Luigi Mangione fangirls at glib CNN interview, quote, morally good man. This is the murderer, the assassin of the United Healthcare CEO, right, who was a father of two and a husband before he was gunned down on the sidewalk of New York by Luigi Mangione, who is now a hero of the Democrat Party as is the Jew-hating, genocidal lunatic Mahmoud Khalil, right? And now CNN is campaigning for, they just call him Garcia now, the MS-13 gang member who was deported. He's in Maryland, and the Democrats are like, oh, he knocked up a woman and she gave birth, so that makes him good, right? Because that's, I think O.J. Simpson had a couple of kids too, did he? But the Democrats, they're on the wrong side of everything. So the graphic on CNN this morning, the lower third, as they call it, the fight for Garcia. They're trying hard. The whole media, they've rallied. They're going to firebomb something soon to try to keep this MS-13 gang member, who they've abbreviated down to Garcia. He's got like 14 syllables and 4 names. But they just love all the bad stuff. And you're standing by to pull the trigger on Taylor Lorenz. Is that what you're doing there? Yeah, okay, because Taylor Lorenz heaped praise on accused United Healthcare CEO assassin Luigi Mangione and slammed the media, where she's a member of the media, for criticizing the legion of unhinged youths who consider him a hero and a role model. So now let's go to Taylor Lorenz, and it's CNN. It was a podcast, though, right? Some CNN. It's really on CNN, on TV, because it looked like they've gone with phone cameras now or something. They're just down and down they go. Taylor Lorenz on CNN.
I think it's hilarious to see these millionaire media pundits on TV clutching their pearls about someone standing a murderer when this is the United States of America, as if we don't lionize criminals, as if we don't have, we don't stand murderers of all sorts, and we give them Netflix shows.
We give them Netflix. Well, you guys are trying to get the Menendez brothers released from prison, and you all wanted to hang out with O.J. Simpson and all that. So you are, and Sirhan made parole in California about a year and a half ago, and Hair Gel still hasn't let him out of prison, even though he's been paroled by the parole board. Pretty amazing stuff. So Taylor Lorenz, yeah, like all our heroes aren't murderers. Yeah, right. The guy gunned down a CEO of a healthcare company on a sidewalk in New York, murdering him and widowing his wife and leaving his children, his 2 children, without a father. And she's giggling and, I think it's because our whole culture is so. No, that's you filthy leftist rabble. Taylor Lorenz. She's an award-winning journalist.
There's a huge disconnect between the narratives and angles that sort of mainstream media pushes and what the American public feels. And you see that in moments like this. And I can tell you, I saw the biggest audience growth that I've ever seen, because people were like, some journalist is actually speaking to the anger that we feel.
The anger, they feel anger. Even their dogs hate Elon Musk. And he was murdered because he was the CEO of United Healthcare. And that's all. There's no specific crime other than being the CEO of United Healthcare. And I thought they fixed healthcare with Obamacare, didn't they? Because that cost us trillions of dollars and took years. Taylor Lorenz, just amazing. And listen to how she adores him. She wants to have sex with him, based on what she's saying here.
So you're going to see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man, which is hard to find.
Well, I can introduce you to some crack-dealing gangsters in D.C. I think you'd love them. You could date them a long time. Isn't that amazing? And, he wants our institutions need to be destroyed.
They want somebody to take on the system. They want somebody to tear down these barbaric establishment institutions.
Well, some vote for Trump because we're tired of the bourgeois. You vote for murder. This is the party of civil war and firing on Fort Sumter. In fact, it was the anniversary over the weekend of the Democrats firing on Fort Sumter because they're a warlike, belligerent, bloodthirsty bunch of ghouls, and their dogs have been taught to hate people by them. based on the bumper stickers and the magnets and the shirts and stuff that they sell. Even my dog hates Elon Musk. Elon better start carrying a pistol in case one of their dogs shows up. He might have to shoot the dog like a dog. Old saying. You know that this country was built on hard work and grit. Whether you're standing for long hours every day, running errands, chasing the kids, just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis, you should not have to deal with fatigue and foot pain, and that is where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes, built with patented VersaShock technology. The Federal Trade Commission has authorized G-Defy shoes to tell you and all of us that these shoes will help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking, running, prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock, align your body, improve your biomechanics, and return energy with every step you take. My best girl and I, we each have pairs of G-Defy shoes sent along, just wonderful. They make your arches feel good after hiking around the city. Right now, you get 50% off your order of $120 or more by texting Chris, that's me, to 91888, or going on Al Gore's amazing internet to gdefy.com. And there you use the code Chris. That's me. With G-Defy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Message and data rates apply. Yeah, they just love it. And also Taylor Lorenz decided it was about Trump. She made it about Trump, too. These people, stop firebombing every place. Stop shooting people. Stop trying to assassinate people. Is the Democratic Party a terrorist organization?
Somebody is actually speaking to the anger that we feel.
And I asked her how that made her feel, and she said it made her feel angry.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. You know how Democrats love to have, Gay Pride Month, but they just call it Pride Month, and because there's no reason to have pride in anything else. And they have all these months to commemorate taking a knee at a football game or rioting, whatever it is. But I think I've decided that April should be Democrat Party History Month. The month of April. Every year should be celebrated, or at least observed, as Democrat Party History Month. And I'll share with you a couple of reasons why April should be the special month where we remember Democrats. Now, Michael Piercy and I, we just started this a couple of minutes ago, but we've decided that is April something else month already? Amazon Arab Lesbian Month or something like that? Because, they love to have this month and that month. But we were just talking about April, which begins with April Fool's Day. So that's perfect for the Democrat Party. We want to make April Democrat History Month. Democrat History Month, right? It's Autism Awareness. That's appropriate, too, for the Democrat Party. So April as Democrat History Month. It's not really Democrat Appreciation Month. It's Democrat History Month. But here's the just scratching the surface on a little bit of the Democrat Party's April accomplishments, right? And this started because over the weekend somebody sent me a fun item that I made note and tucked it away. But here's the thing: on April 12th of 1861, what happened on April 12th, 1861? Well, the Democrats fired on Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor in South Carolina, starting the American Civil War. And their president was Jefferson Davis of the Confederate States of America. The United States of America had our first Republican president ever, Abraham Lincoln, right? And then, interestingly, so April 12th of 1861, the Democrats fired on Fort Sumter in South Carolina. They started the American Civil War. That's noteworthy. And the month starts with April Fool's Day, which is appropriate for Democrat History Month. But then April 14th, another important April date. April 14th of 1865. You see, that's only about 4 years later. A Democrat arrived at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and shot Abraham Lincoln in the head. Shot him in the head, assassinated by an actor, no less, like Johnny Depp. John Wilkes Booth shot the first Republican president ever in the United States, shot him in the head, and he actually died the next day after midnight, kind of like Bobby Kennedy after Sirhan was shot. He died. He was shot June 5th, and he died June 6th. 1968. And that was Sirhan, who the Democrats gave parole about a year and a half ago, even though they hadn't released him yet. But never mind that. So April 12th is a big date in Democrat Party history because in 1861 they fired on Fort Sumter. April 14th is a big date because in 1865 a Democrat actor shot the first ever Republican president in the head. And then April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King was shot and killed and assassinated, of course, by a Democrat Party campaign volunteer, right, who was working for the Democrat governor, George Wallace, for his presidential campaign. Right? And then we asked Jeff, who's on phones today, what else do the Democrats do in April? And he said, well, on Earth Day, in 2022, it was April 22nd that a Democrat from Colorado by the name of Wynn Bruce, he went to the U.S. Supreme Court and he set himself on fire out in front of the Supreme Court and he killed himself. Not as quickly, perhaps, as he would have liked, but 50-year-old Wynn Bruce, who is an environmental activist from Boulder, Colorado, he died on Earth Day of 2022. After he set himself on fire, self-immolated outside the Supreme Court. And the Democrats, I'm thinking that they got a cluster of accomplishments here in April that should make April Democrat Party History Month. April Fool's Day, right? Then April 12th, firing on Fort Sumter. Then April 14th, shooting Abraham Lincoln and killing Abraham Lincoln. April 4th, 1968. The assassination of Martin Luther King by a Democrat Party campaign volunteer. Now, they didn't shoot up the baseball game in Virginia where Congressman Steve Scalise was shot. That wasn't in April. I think that was in June. Wasn't that in June? But I think not in April. But the Democrat Party and the suicide attacks. And shouldn't they have an award in the name of Wynn Bruce because he really seemed to care about the weather? He really did seem to care. You watch there's not good video of him like the Democrat self-immolating at the Israeli embassy about a mile from this radio station here. Was that self-immolation in April? Because that could be another accomplishment by the Democrats. They really, I gotta say, Democrat Party. So April is Democrat History Month. They did so much in April. Darn. Well, I'm sure that the Democrats did a lot more stuff in April. Pretty amazing stuff. All right. That is, so there it is. It's Democrat. Should it be Appreciation Month? I think not, just Democrat, because you can't really appreciate starting the Civil War and then assassinating Abraham Lincoln, although now I'm sure the Democrat Party's in favor of it in retrospect, as they were at the time, by the way. Very angry about the Emancipation Proclamation and a whole lot of other things, too. Remarkable stuff. And we haven't even gotten to this Al-Qaeda-looking Democrat from Pennsylvania that firebombed the home of the official residence of the Democrat governor of Pennsylvania yesterday. But we're going to get to that. And what we know about the mad bomber, the homemade, I read an article today, homemade Molotov cocktail, because he couldn't get down to the Molotov cocktail store in time. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to, and we have the ridiculous people that pretended to go up into space today. Isn't that amazing? Just amazing stuff. So we've got that. And the Democrats today are fighting in favor of gang members from Latin America, whether it be Venezuela or El Salvador. And they're fighting in favor of Mahmoud Khalil, who wants to exterminate the Jews from the face of the earth. The Democrat Party should be wearing armbands and goose-stepping wherever they go. These are not friendly neighbors. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Chuck calling from Cedar Hill, Tennessee. Charles, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, hello, Chris. Thank you for taking my call. And, you're just fantastic. But I like your idea with April being History Month. But I want to move right into May because we need good weather for Democrat liberal self-immolation month. I'd like to get that all organized, because you wouldn't want the rain putting their protest out early and stuff. We could, supply gasoline. We can give them free matches, a little water while they're sitting in line waiting, and counselors in case they change their mind before they get up there, because I want them to be able to protest properly.
Water while they're waiting in line is a nice election day touch. I like that. That's a good pull from the historical annals, if you will, of the Democrat Party. Yeah, because they want to fight. They'd have a civil war over whether you can have people politicking you while you're in line to vote on Election Day, which is what that's all about. It's not that they really love water or anything like that. Look what happened when Los Angeles was burning. They couldn't find a bucket of water to save their own lives because the water wasn't coming out of the fire hydrants because they're in charge of the fire hydrants. But, Chuck, that is good stuff. And I love, April showers bring May flowers. So you don't want to have it in April because self-immolation month, because you might put them out. It could be raining, and it would be more difficult for them. But it's true, we could give them, like a gallon can of gas. And I think you need a Zippo lighter, Chuck, the fine American brand, Zippo brand, because it could be difficult with a Bic lighter or something. It might, there might not be enough oxygen to ignite the flame. A little breeze can knock it out, but a Zippo is just right. That's what the Buddhist monks used. But we've had more Democrats self-immolate than we ever had Buddhist monks self-immolate. I know, I did the math.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I almost didn't stay on hold because when you said that Bernie Sanders and AOC was dating, I got sick to my stomach. But I feel much better now.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's good. I didn't mean to spread terror throughout the land. But, yeah, the idea that Bernie Sanders depending on big pharma, I guess, for magical things that they create, big pharma, which they despise. They want to firebomb big pharma, too. And Tesla dealerships, firebombing those, and Tesla repair shops, and Teslas parked in parking lots, and violent criminality. And now, I don't know if you heard this before, Chuck, but learned over the weekend that the Democrats have bumper stickers and magnets and things that say, even my dog hates Elon Musk. Have you ever known a dog that hated, Chuck?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
There's definitely a mental illness there that goes far beyond my ability to be able to understand.
Yeah, well, that's good. That, you know what that means, don't you, Chuck? That means that means you're normal.
That I'm somewhere now near normal?
Yeah, that's right. That means you're normal. That's somewhere near. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's exactly right. That means you're somewhere near normal. Pretty darn close.
Yes, sir.
I'd say. Yeah. I haven't had a dog for a long time, but I did have a Springer Spaniel, Annie, and the nicest, kindest, most loving dog. You could have a junkyard dog. I tell you, my brother had a pit bull. It was a huge gray pit bull, nicest dog ever. Comes up to you and licks you because when a dog has nice owners, the dog doesn't hate anybody. But the Democrats, they want their dogs. They're projecting their own hatred and their disdain for humanity onto their own pets. What is the matter with these people?
Well, they're following their owners.
That's exactly right. The owners are projecting their own rabid
animal instincts are coming out in the liberals, but they don't. I don't know because they keep changing their mind on who they are.
That's true, too. This whole gender issue that they have, kind of disturbing. They're mental. What should we call it?
Have a great day, Chris.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Yes.
Thanks. You are normal, and I appreciate that. So he's laughing, he's chuckling it up, and the dogs, and because he's normal and he's happy. He's from Cedar Hill, Tennessee, where normal people live. I live in Washington, D.C., where there was a funny piece on the front page of the Washington Post yesterday. We get the Washington Post, one of a dwindling number of people that still get the Washington Post delivered at home. But there was a piece yesterday, I guess, on the front page above the fold about a woman who's a psychiatric nurse. And she is a saint, and she spends her time going into the New York City subway system overnight with 5 police officers because it's so dangerous, because Democrats run it. And she goes and tries to talk to and counsel the crazy homeless people that live in the New York City subways. And they talked about the woman set on fire and killed by a Democrat who drenched this homeless woman sleeping on a subway train in gasoline and set her on fire and killed her. And that's not even a news story anymore. That's like, yeah, whatever. What about the weather? No, the weather. And amazing stuff. And this lady, who's a saint, goes in, and she's trying to help all the homeless people. And they talked about, on the front page of the Washington Post, things that I've known, and you've doubtless known for many years. And that is that the Democrat solution for mental illness, we used to have a giant mental institution in Washington, D.C. called St. Elizabeth's Hospital. The man who's a Democrat Party hero that shot Ronald Reagan, John Hinckley, was stored there at this mental institution, St. Elizabeth's Hospital. And the crazy people in Washington were sent to this kind of a large campus walled in with a bunch of big buildings, and it was a scary Victorian-era kind of brick complex. And then they closed it and shut it down. And what they did is they kicked all the mentally ill people out onto the sidewalks and said, like in Blazing Saddles, they said, son, you're on your own. And they just kicked all the homeless men and homeless women out on the street to die. And then when they're dead, then some city employee will come and get their bodies and take them away and throw them in the old boneyard. Down, they got the Congressional Cemetery. It's down by the jail. They've got the Potter's Field there. But just amazing. And in New York, they've done the same thing. Hey, it turns out the government runs really, really terrible mental institutions that are snake pits, and they're like hell. And they said, so instead of making them better, we're the government. We'll never do anything right. So let's just throw these people out on the street to fend for themselves. And that's what the Democrats have done.
Son, you're on your own.
And that was it. Then they kicked them all out of St. Elizabeth's and in New York. Front page story, Washington Post yesterday, this saintly woman trying to save, and hidden in the article in the Washington Post was the truth, the unfortunate truth, the sad and tragic truth, that our government, run by the permanent bureaucracy, the left-wing Democrats, their solution for mental illness is to grab the people by the scruff of the neck and throw them out on the sidewalk and say, son, you're on your own. And then they go out and they try to stay alive on the street, and they're severely mentally ill. And we don't help them. We leave them out there until they die. And then somebody that the Democrats hire with our tax dollars go out and collect the bodies and throw them in Potter's Field, because this is our government, and the Democrats want more of it. And April is Democrat History Month. They've accomplished so much. Honestly, firing in Fort Sumter, assassinating Abraham Lincoln, assassinating Martin Luther King, and, of course, the self-immolation of Wynn Bruce at the Supreme Court because he was very concerned about the weather. The Democrat Party got him whipped up on that, too. We're at 888-630-9625. At what point, what do you have to do to qualify as a terrorist organization? I think the Democrats are there. I think they've been there for a long time. Completely nuts. And this is pretty wacky, too. The Jewish Democratic Council. So it's the Democrat Party. Some of them pretend to be Jewish. The Jewish Democratic Council of America compares Trump to Pharaoh. Pharaoh. Everybody wants to be a Pharaoh. To Pharaoh for deporting Hamas supporters. So if you support the genocidal, anti-Semitic death cult known as Hamas, you see, then the Jewish Democratic Council supports you. Now, they support people that want to kill them because then they'll say free speech, and then they'll firebomb something because the mental illness. So the Jewish Democratic Council of America compares Trump to Pharaoh for deporting Hamas supporters. Supporting Hamas is the true spirit of Passover. Jewish Democrat leader says. Talking about betraying the tribe, you're really not, you're not a good member of the tribe, I got to say. There are Jews, and then there are Jews. These are leftists who only mention that they're Jewish when attacking Jews on behalf of the left. A Jew says, I'm Jewish because I feel connected to God, the Torah, the land of Israel, and said, I'm a Jew, says, as a Jew I condemn all of the above and use my Jewish values to advocate for everyone trying to kill Jews, which is exactly right. Front Page magazine with the story today. Daniel Greenfield writing, the Democrats, they're the left. They're not liberals at all. And they're not on anybody's side except maybe after-school Satan Club, which they run all over the country very happily. Just great. Yeah, my friend Barry shot me that, and it's these people they're dangerously criminally insane. And I mean, there's just no way he's not a Democrat. The guy that firebombed the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania with the Jewish governor, Josh Shapiro, inside and his family after having the Seder for the beginning of Passover. No big deal there. And I've got more for you on that coming up.